Let's be real, it's March 2026 and NetherRealm Studios is in a weird spot. Mortal Kombat 1 officially wrapped up its support last year, and while it sold 5 million copies, the community vibe, it's at an all-time low. Between the invasions grind, the microtransactions, and the cameo system that split the fanbase, NRS feels like it's lost in its masterpiece status. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. With the recent leaks coming from George Newborn and Phil Lamar confirming Injustice 3 is or was in development, and the 10-year anniversary of Injustice 2 coming up in 2027, NRS has a chance to hit the reset button. This isn't just another sequel, it's a survival mission. Today we're breaking down the blueprint, from James Gunn's DCU influence to fixing the gear system, and why Injustice 3 or MK13, but today we're going to focus on Injustice 3, are the only games that could really save NetherRealm's legacy. But before we get into all that, if you guys don't know me by now, I'm MrFrostyFlamez, but you can call me Mike. I do anything gaming playthroughs, news, reviews, anything gaming analysis. You could call me a video game critique. I'm something of a scientist myself when it comes to video games. But yeah, if you like these videos, if you like these analysis videos, make sure you drop a comment, drop a like, and subscribe to join the MrFrostyFlamez Legion. Now let's get back to the video. For this first part, I want to call it the Mortal Kombat 1 hangover, and that's because to understand how Injustice 3 saves the studio, we have to look at what happened. Mortal Kombat 1 was technically sound, but it felt hollow. The Invasions mode, which I've talked about before in previous videos, was a disaster. It replaced the atmosphere of the crypt with a mobile game-like board. NRS is currently suffering from live service fatigue. They tried to turn a fighting game into a daily chore. For Injustice 3 to work, they have to abandon their engagement metric. We don't want a game that forces us to log in for a yellow palette swap. We want a game that feels complete on day one. If Injustice 3 launches with another Invasion-style game board, it's over. The community won't give them a second chance after the MK1 cycle, because, if you look at it, Invasions mode was a grind and it killed the single-player content for Mortal Kombat 1. NRS needs to change for Injustice. They need something different that could boost engagement but not feel grindy. Perhaps maybe like a conquest mode, like an open world tour where we could explore maybe Gotham or Metropolis or go anywhere DC related, because that's what they do in the other fighting games like Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8. They have this battle hub or this world tour or whatever, you know what I'm talking about? It would be cool to do that in a DC setting. Imagine if you could make your own superhero or something to boost engagement that isn't artificial slop, that isn't fake engagement, a fake RPG, and that's what Invasion mode was. We need something different for Injustice 3, which could save the single player content. And on top of that, we have the biggest wild card, and that's James Gunn. Since he took over DC Studios, he's been vocal about wanting games to be canon to the DCU. But here's my take, and I know some of you might disagree. Injustice 3 needs to stay as an Elseworlds project. If they try to force Injustice 3 to fit into a movie canon, the roster gets slashed. We'd lose the evil Superman dynamic that made the series famous. We'd lose the stakes. Injustice 3 is at its best when it's dark, gritty, and allowed to kill off major characters. The leaks suggest NRS is leaning into the multiverse, again possibly bringing in a good Justice League to fight the regime universe one last time. That is the play. Give us the likeliness and voices from the DCU as DLC skins, but let the story stay wild. And I know the story could be preference and they could go wherever they want with it. I'm more forgiving with a multiverse sort of vibe to the story because this is DC Comics. I was completely angered by it being in Mortal Kombat because it's Mortal Kombat. I feel like it just doesn't deserve a multiverse story because, one, they didn't really execute it properly, and that makes me worried if they're going to execute Injustice 3's a multiverse story properly. But again, we're more used to it because it is superheroes, it is DC. However, they have to execute this multiverse story properly because it's obvious that this is probably what they're going for. And after that, we need to talk about gear. Injustice 2 had one of the best customizations in fighting game history and debatably the best, but it had the worst inventory management. You'd end up with 500 identical epic belts for Batman that you had to manually delete. Then MK1 went the opposite way and gave us one gear slot? One! It was a total overcorrection. Injustice 3 needs the middle ground. Give us 3 to 4 slots, head, torso, legs, your weapon, anything major in the body, but make the pieces meaningful. No more random stat boosts that break the game. If I want to build a Red Sun Superman or a Kingdom Come Batman, let me earn those specific pieces through challenges or challenge towers or basically multiverse, whatever they had it. not loot box or seasonal shop. This is how you rebuild player trust, rewarding skill, not just time spent. Mortal Kombat 1 was horrible with that. For the customization, like I said, you only had one gear slot that you had to play through, what, invasions mode, or what is that? You remember that shrine in Mortal Kombat 1 where you could put like 1,000 coins in and it gives you concept art, it gives you like some BS? I mean, like, we can't have that. And then all the cool skins, they were locked behind paywalls. $20 skins, we have $20 skins here. $15 skins, ooh, you like the classic Mortal Kombat games, you like Mortal Kombat 3. Do you want me to sell you a Mortal Kombat 3 Sub-Zero skin for $20? Okay, buy your dragon crystals here, get your dragon crystals. That's how it felt, and it was so disrespectful. Imagine if you wanted to play as like comic book Batman or something, or Arkham series Batman, or whatever Batman skin they could pull that they know was famous, but they're like, you know, we'll give you this skin for $20. You know, it's crazy. I mean, that doesn't build player trust. That's just gonna make people mad. And that was one of Mortal Kombat 1's biggest criticisms, was the monetization and the live service elements. If Injustice 3 needs to save NRS, if they need to succeed, they need to double down on removing or at least taking a step back. Okay, I get it. You want to be live service and you need to make money post, like, you know, post launch. Okay, there are ways to do that. You could sell like premiere skins. I would accept premiere skins, like if you change the whole character up where it could justify like a price change, you know? For example, like you could have like Captain Cold and he turned into Mr. Freeze, or you could have like you know, any other character. You could turn like a Green Lantern into Star Sapphire or Lar Freeze, or any of the lantern colors. See, that could be justifiable if you overhauled the character. Obviously make the frames and everything the same, but just make a whole new character out of the character you already have, and that could be justifiable. But what MK1 did was criminal. And next, we have to talk about the roster, because we have the whole DC universe we could do. And this is where NRS usually wins, because in their fighting games, they usually pick a very safe roster. I mean, MK1 threw in a lot of curveballs with trying to reinvent these 3D era characters, but they still kept it safe by including basically all the ninjas in Mortal Kombat and all like the famous characters. But for Injustice 3, they need to go Omega level. We're talking characters that fans have been begging for since 2013, like Beast Boy, Booster Gold, Plastic Man, John Constantine. Even bring back some of the characters that people love, like Zatanna or something like that. And for guest characters, NRS really loves their horror icons and action stars. But for Injustice 3, I feel like we need some synergy. In 2026, the hero shooter and the superhero genres are very crowded. If we're getting guests, like, give us something cool, give us something unique. I remember when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were announced for Injustice 2, and everyone was like, what the hell? But like in a crazy way. Like, imagine if they gave us like the Power Rangers, because that's basically the same concept as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You could bring in the Power Rangers, and there's both like they fit in with the vibe of like superheroes, right? Or they could put in like another Boys character or another Invincibles character. I mean, that would be sick, right? Heck, even with Paramount defeating Netflix in that recent bidding war for WBD, maybe we finally get some crossover potential we never thought possible. But the core roster has to be DC focused first. I mean, I don't want to see any guests come out in the main roster. Leave those for DLC. And there's one thing I want to talk about that is very small, but it's a bit of a technical issue. Now, with the PS5 price raises and Xbox's future looking uncertain, PC gaming is on the rise. And in fact, it's probably the most, not probably, it is the most optimal experience for gaming. And as a PC gamer myself, I have to bring this up. The MK1 PC port was rough at launch. For Injustice 3 to be a masterpiece, the PC version needs to be a lead platform, not an afterthought. We're talking 120 FPS support in the menus, crossplay that actually works on day one, and no always online requirements for single player modes. If NRS wants to compete with, say, Tekken 8 or Street Fighter 6 in 2027, they have to prove they can handle the tech. The leaked roadmap says they're aiming for a late 2027 release to hit that 10-year anniversary. That gives them plenty of time to polish this. Don't rush it. We'd rather wait another year for a perfect game than get another beta like what MK1 was. And I'm not saying ignore the console players. Please work on the consoles and make it the best you can. I'm just saying that for PC, make sure that it's as equal as the consoles, because for NRS the PC ports have been very questionable, and the same goes for the Switch too. You could say that too. You know, obviously consoles are the majority when it comes to player count in the fighting game scene, right? However, you can't just, you know, release a good game on the consoles and release a shitty game on PC or Switch. You gotta make sure it's equal and enjoyable for everyone, because you're just gonna lose fans and it's gonna make your reputation look horrible. So please, just next time, for next game, just make sure everything is equal. You know, if you have a good game on console, don't release it on PC until it's as good as the console version. And I know sometimes the specs could be a little different, so it's gonna be hard, like especially when it comes to, you know, releasing on the older gen or maybe the Switch. However, like, you know, you gotta be open-minded and you gotta like let the fans know your troubles with it, so you could communicate, so they know what they're expecting. We don't want an MK1 Switch 2 launch again. So in the end, the stakes have never been higher. WB Games has written off millions in impairments recently. They just need a single hit. If Injustice 3 is MK1 with a DC skin, NRS might be relegated to a support studio for other franchises, but if they listen, if they bring back the crypt style exploration, if they fix the customization, and if they give us a story that actually matters, they can reclaim the throne. Injustice 3 doesn't need to be a good game. It needs to be the best game NRS has ever made. And the same could be said if they're working on Mortal Kombat 13, if they're gonna put that out next. I know this video is focusing on how Injustice 3 could save NRS. I know I made a video on how Mortal Kombat 13 could save NRS. It's Injustice 3's turn. But if they're doing in Mortal Kombat 13, they gotta do the same thing. They gotta make it different, more better, and make it the best game NRS could possibly make to save them. But that's just my take. What do you guys think? Is Injustice 3 the savior, or is NRS too far gone? And also, I gotta ask you, are you Team Regime or Team Insurgency for the finale? Let me know in the comments. I'm rebuilding the channel on the truth, and the truth is, I want this game to be a masterpiece. Anyways, I'm MrFrostyFlamez. You guys know who I am. Check out my other videos down below and let me know in the comments how I did on this video, what improvements I could make, and subscribe if you want to join the MrFrostyFlamez Legion. Thank you all for watching. MrFrostyFlamez out. Yeah.